I'd have to see I haven't really looked at the exact stats of it. I guess you'd have to compare it to, there has to be a bar that's set on if you compare it and whatever that is. I mean, is it 8 plays? Is it 7? Is it 9? I mean, I'm not sure how to answer that question. We've gone on some very long drives this year, We've gone on some really good drives. Our problem exists and we're not scoring enough points. And that's kind of what I see the problem being.
Third quarter has been a low point in several games this year.
Right.
What does the team still need to improve upon right after halftime?
Well, it's funny you say that because I looked at all the third quarters yesterday. We scored on the first drive 4 out of the 7 games on the first drive, and then the 5th game against Washington, we took it from the -25 to the +23 and missed a field goal. So we had a chance of scoring on the first drive of 5 out of 7 games. So I wouldn't say that was bad. It's the drives after that. And then there's a couple drives, I think it was 2 games, where we were in the middle of a drive. It went to the 4th quarter, and we scored on that drive. So it was part of the third quarter. It all depends on how you look at it. I don't think it's as bad as maybe the point total. I think you look at it, it's not great, that's for sure. We all want to be better. There's absolutely no doubt. I'll be the first one to admit to that. I was surprised because of, all the questions I've been asked about the third quarter. So I went back and looked, and, I was surprised that, there's a couple games, we scored 2 touchdowns, 2 out of 3 scores of 3 drives. So, I mean, it's not great. I don't think it's as bad as what some people are making it out to be.
Actually, your yards per play are better than any time in the last 6+ years.
Really?
At ASU.
Good. Wow.
And
I didn't know that.
your yards per play are also better than anyone who track about except for Washington State.
Okay.
And some of the other numbers are kind of really similar. But like you said, the points.
Yes.
And
Yes.
So
Man. So we went into the game. That's a great question. We went into the game Saturday with that in mind. Like, okay, we need to generate, and so maybe we were pressing too much Saturday and the trick play and and that's really, if I think about it, the one call you'd love to have back, and the momentum and what's going on with the game and what the score was at the time. Just feeling like we had to generate more points, but then all of a sudden you get into a game and it's 3-0. And so, well, really all you need is 4 points. You know what I'm saying? So, man, it's just, I don't know, can't put a finger on it. We had 2 drives we had the momentum, we were driving in those, we've had bad turnovers, man. And that's what I talked to the team about. Turnovers change the outcome of games, and they change people's lives. And, the Washington game, drive, we take the first drive, boom. And then you go down again, and then we fumble. And then Stanford, we get the momentum, we take it down there, we have a big play, fumble. And then we momentum, we get it down there again, and then we had that, the interception off the trick play. And so, I don't know, man. I wish there was a pattern. Wish that I could could put my finger on it and go out on the practice field and fix that particular problem. Because some of the other things are kind of easier to fix. We wanted to concentrate on getting better on 3rd and 4 to 6 going into this game. I think we were 75% there. So I mean, it's like you can work on things like that. Man, it's just like it's hard to work on how many points are we going to score in the game. You know what I mean? A lot of it comes down to executing. I'm not pleased with our execution at times on the other side of the 50-yard line. That's where I know what we can work on certain individual things, but it just seems like we take turns on messing up. Like one guy blows a protection here, we look the wrong way maybe at quarterback over here, or the receiver runs his route not the way that we've coached it over here, and it just seems like we take turns. And we got to play a complete game at some point in time this dang season,
It's not one player that decided the game, but in the 2-minute situation, Manny took a sack,
Yeah.
and then we had a couple of the check downs.
Right.
That took time off the clock and no timeouts. What did you make in just looking at that again and what you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, I thought what we were trying to do on a couple of the things that got checked down is we had a wheel route. I don't know if some people see that or not. We felt like we could get the running back out of the backfield one-on-one with a linebacker, and they switched it off. They did a good job on defense, and that kind of took us away. And when you're going fast like that, you're just trying to think, how can I score a fast touchdown and get a one-on-one matchup? So one of those was that. And then the last play that, in particular, the last play, we felt like we had, Frank to the field, had a vertical ball, could have thrown it up. We had switch verticals into the boundary with a shot with, Kyle bending it, and then Nikhil possible back shoulder. And if he catches it early and he couldn't score, if it felt like he could step out, and then, the back leaked out. And, Manny just saw me throw it to him. And, I could have helped him out and just told the back to stay in and just max it up, protect, you know what I mean? I blame myself for that. And that not even like let that, you know what I'm saying? That even flash in front of his eyes right there, But, I think we all would love to have that one back.
Is that hard for a quarterback just because they train themselves to get the check down?
Yeah, and I'll answer that question right here. Do you remember the Minnesota Vikings against I think it was the Saints in the NFC Championship game? Brett Favre was the quarterback, rolling to his right, and all he had to do was keep running and slide. And he looked back and he saw a guy go back this way off of a scramble, which you never throw that ball. And he goes, and he throws it to him, and they don't go to the Super Bowl. And it's some quarterbacks, it's bittersweet. They're so competitive that it's so hard to just let it go and then get the next play. I mean, you see it in the NFL all the time. It's just guys at that position. You're there because you're competitive. You're there because of those moments. And sometimes you can get wrapped up in that final moment so bad you become so competitive that it overtakes you sometimes.
Obviously, Manny was really emotional after the press conference.
Yeah.
How did you see him today? How did he kind of regroup? Is it a different change in him, or how is he?
Oh yeah, he was great, and we had just a wonderful talk, afterwards. It was a great moment, for both of us, because we all learn from disappointments, and we all learn from mistakes, and so what you learn in the game of football, the reason I love it so much, is you have so many times to respond to adversity that grows your character up. And I think he, just put my arm around him, told him I loved him, and he said the same thing to me. And we're going to learn from it. And in no way does one play ever define a person in a game, And don't let that define who you are. Don't let anybody define that for you. And, man, you can't do anything about it. But still, you look at the record, you look at our schedule, we control our own destiny still. We went out, we're in great shape.
Coach, switching gears, USC at USC. What are your thoughts on playing like that at the Coliseum?
I thought you were going to, I prepared for this question because last week you said, what do you see? And my answer was athletes. That's all I see on film are really, really, really good athletes running around. By far the most athletic team we've faced this year. It's really, it's no secret. They have the best players in the conference. They just do. It's not a secret. Everybody talks about it. They do. And they're really, really fast. They roll 7 to 8 guys out on the defensive line. They all look like the same guy, real good. And then they got linebackers that can just absolutely fly. They got safeties that can run downhill, and they run like corners. So it's a tremendous challenge, and you love it. If you're a competitor, you love the opportunity, to go against guys like that.
Do you, after the bye week, it seemed like you put in some different things, some of the pop
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Is that going to help you to build off of what you guys have been doing in the run game in earlier weeks?
Yeah, and what it does is it makes people like, when you're on defense, if you're a defensive coordinator and you watch the film and you're popping passes to people, you got to make a decision. Oh, okay, if we're going to be in zone, okay, then who has this guy, and obviously, it's no secret. Coaches know what they're looking at. You got a run play going this way and a pop pass going that way, and you're in zone. Somebody's got to stay over here and cover the dude, right? So you got to make that decision now. If you don't want to do that, then you got to make the decision to go man coverage. Well, then, it's like a chess game. We see man coverage. Now you have man coverage plays that you try to attack them with.
You mentioned not here now. Can you just talk about the running back, how the depth chart lines up?
Yes.
And how important you might see to get some variation beyond
Yeah, sure. So we have Paul Lucas and we have Isaiah. And those guys will take the bulk and all of the second team reps. And so we'll shuffle those guys in and out accordingly per type of situation, play, package, what we're thinking. We have certain packages where we want this guy in, certain packages where we're thinking this guy. Obviously you don't want to have Isaiah in there, blocking freaking 6'3", 245-pound defensive ends on protection at times. So you got to be careful with who's in and what you're trying to do. But those two guys will handle the bulk of that responsibility of a backup running back.
Do you think it's important to get some other guys some carries, not just have
Yeah, it is for running backs. I think it's important that. You don't want a guy, his first carry to be the third quarter. Sometimes it works out that way. One thing, though, that Eno is one of those backs, and they come in all shapes and sizes, but Eno is one of those running backs we've discovered where he gets better as the carries he gets. So he's not a guy where you're trying to split carries with. Like some running backs are like that, and you need to do that. You need to split, probably 60-40. But he's a guy where he actually gets better the more he carries it. So you try to keep him in the game as long as you can in consecutive carries. Yes, he did. Well, because he played running back in high school, and he's done that before, and he's pretty natural at it. He's really fast. And he's done a super job, and we just got to get him some game experience, and hopefully he'll do that Saturday. When I say hopefully, that means Eno's doing really well, and he just needs a break.
When we look at the game, the USC against Utah, without getting into specifics, do you feel that defense against Utah, was that an anomaly, or is that maybe just what you saw from other weeks?
You're talking about USC's defense against Utah?
Yeah.
That's a good question, because I watched the game, and as I turned the film on, I was expecting Utah to just be overwhelming them. But if you look in the first half and you watch that play-by-play, Utah had one big slant, I think, for 46 yards to number 18, and he took it to the house. And then they had a scramble, had the guy sacked in the backfield. He scrambled out, rolled to his right, threw it to a tight end down on the 3. And the best way I described it, USC was kicking their butt the first half. It just didn't show on the scoreboard. And then middle way of the third quarter is when Utah started to start doing it. But it wasn't as lopsided as you may have think unless you turn that film on. USC was really handling them pretty well in the first half. They're good, man. They're good.
Does AJ Carter figure into this at all now? Or
Not right now.
would you just redshirt?
Unless there's an injury to one of those three players we talked about. Yeah.
You were talking about your conversation with Manny. Is the noise out there, if you want to put it that way, is he at this point in his career kind of block that out?
You would hope so as you grow. I'm 51 years old, and I would love to say that it's, I'm numb to it, but if one of you guys wrote a story about me being a bad offensive coordinator, it'd probably hurt my feelings a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest as a human being. And he's a human being. So he's going to feel that a little bit, but you would hope that, okay, I get it. Let's keep it all in perspective. And that's the thing I want you work on as a person as you get older and experienced is you're going to lose your perspective at time. We all do. But then gaining that perspective back very quickly. And that's what I think he's done, because his attitude today was amazing. The practice was great. He was as good a leader today as he's been all year. Well, we talked in the locker room, before I came and talked to you guys. Then after I talked to you guys, I went back, and then we texted later that night till late at night. back and forth. And then, you know, we talked again on Sunday and had a really good talk Sunday morning before we went out to practice. And so I think he's in good spirits.
Is that about normal for you guys post-game to communicate that many times, or was it just because?
Yeah, you know, we'll text back and forth, and I text the team. I usually text the team, you know, a group text, the offense, and tell them my thoughts, and then I always tell them I love them, because I do. I don't ever want the scoreboard to ever define our relationship of how I feel about them or accept them, you know, as people. But no, that we probably communicated a little bit more than normal that night.
Do you think Manny's having an appreciably different season than last year, one way or the other?
Say that again. Oh.
Do you think the season he's having this year is appreciably different than last year?
Yeah, you know, it's a little bit different because we had those early upset wins against Oregon, Washington, and then we went to Utah. I can't remember exactly what game that was. So he had some big wins under his belt. We have the Michigan State, you know, game this year, you know, and so, you know, that's playing out, you know, a little bit differently. And I think I just don't want him to press. I don't want him, okay, think about this, guys, 5 of our games went down to the last drive. 5 games out of 7. I don't know if that's ever happened to me before, right? But only one's worked out in our favor. And so I just don't want him to get to where he thinks he has to do too much in press, because that's when I think people start making mistakes.